Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Top Rope Podcast. Yeah! What do we want to talk about? I want to talk about the Wyatt 6 to start this show off. I am incredibly intrigued right now. Everything that's happening backstage, vignette-wise, if you will, with the VHS tapes, I'm into it. Phenomenal stuff going on. Realism at its finest. I shed a little bit of a tear whenever Bo was on there talking about losing his brother, and then Rowan talking about losing his two brothers with Luke Harper and Bray Wyatt. That's about as real as it's going to get, man, when it comes to professional wrestling. And that one brought a couple of tears to my eyes. As far as what's going on in the ring, I don't know what to think about it. I was not a huge fan the other night whenever Chad Gable called out Bo Dallas, and then we seen Bo Dallas come out. I don't know. I didn't necessarily mind seeing Bo Dallas back there with Adam Pearce. I believe it was the week before in his office. Like, I don't know. I didn't really like that either, but it wasn't, I didn't hate it as much as I hated seeing Bo Dallas come out there and getting beat down. Like, his laugh and everything was, and this, maniacal, man, like, you've been through so much and, pain doesn't bother you anymore. Like, that's fine. It's classic storytelling. That's all fine and dandy. We've seen it several times before, but when it's done right, it can work. But I'm just not sure why we see Bo Dallas unmasked right now, and why, if that's fine if we're going to see him unmasked, okay, but his family comes out and saves him as he's unmasked. I mean, I guess you could say it makes sense, because they know that he's Bo Dallas, and we're clearly seeing Eric Rowan in the backstage vignettes and everything. I just think they're overdoing it with everything that's going on. It's just too much every single week now. We're seeing Nikki Cross. We're seeing the smoke. We're seeing something. Like, to me, I leave that as a mystique. Save that stuff. I don't need to see all that going on right now. Maybe bits and pieces here and there, but not every single week. It seems like. I think it should just be doing the vignette stuff and showing us the sides of these other characters every single week. They want to bring out the Wyatt 6, in front of that crowd after Raw goes off the air for your house crowd. Like, I don't have a problem with that for the people in the arena. I mean, obviously some of those videos would surface online and people would see them, but I'm old school. I'm like, the TV product is the TV product. Anything that I need to know should be on the TV program. Monday Night Raw, whatever program it is. I don't want to have to go on to social media and look at, this guy's, we got something going on in the ring, and then, the announce team has to, that's fine if you're telling us it happened on whatever, like this guy said this on Twitter, this was obtained exclusive footage from WWE.com. Like, that's all fine and dandy as long as you let me know that, but I shouldn't have to go on line to find that stuff in order to know what the hell's going on TV. I think for the most part they do a good job of letting us know everything. And I'm kind of getting off sidebar there, but so to me, like, I'm just trying to say that I don't mind, if you put that in front of the house crowd and then some video surface online, it is whatever. It's whatever to me, because the product that I watch, that I see, that I'm concerned about is what I see on Monday Night Raw. And I just think they're overdoing it right now with the Wyatt family. It's like, you keep doing that over and over every single week, it's going to lose a bit of its luster. And it was just a disconnect seeing Bo Dallas unmasked with everybody out there masked. I didn't like it. Honestly, I don't. Besides telling the story of loss, we lost Bray Wyatt, we're the Wyatt Six, and we lost him, and and these are the kind of the people that have forgotten, that have been thrown aside, tossed to the pile. You even heard Rowan in his promo, talk about being nothing and nobody. He didn't think anybody would care anymore, and then the Wyatt family comes along. This new Wyatt Six comes along, and now he's found his family again. Like that all makes perfect sense. But what they're doing out there in front of the crowd, like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't get it. I don't quite understand it. I don't need to fully understand it either. And I'm along for the ride on this thing. I want this to work so badly, because I love Bray Wyatt so very much. I want this to work. And hopefully it will. But just some mixed emotions on what I'm seeing. I don't know, man. Like, having Bo Dallas get attacked by Chad Gable's fine. Like, I don't really understand that either, though, if I'm being totally honest. Like, I'm not even sure. I mean, I would think that they would have known where they were going with this all along. But to me, Chad Gable, whenever they first showed up, Chad Gable was just another guy in the back that was just happened to be in the back that just got, looked like he was dead. It looked like he was freaking dead. It looked like everybody was dead back there. And then we had half-assed security for a couple weeks. Now I don't even think we have security out there at all. And Michael Cole doesn't even seem like he appears to be too afraid of Nikki Cross whenever she comes over to give the videotape. Like, he should be scared shitless. Pardon my French, but he should be scared shitless. Everybody should. But they're going to try to be presented as baby faces. And the way they brought them in was unreal. It was spectacular. Absolutely phenomenal, but I've just been kind of disconnected. Like, they laid everybody out, but, I understand the stories, has shifted away from what it once originally was of, oh man, all these people showed up and they just laid everybody out. Like, should we, we should have extra security freaking everywhere, and we should be worried, really, really worried. Like, there should be security all over the place in the back. We see people, wrestlers all the time, come out the curtains, we're getting behind the scenes. It's just like status quo, business as usual back there with no extra security and all that. So I understand the story has shifted, but that was as spectacular as that was from the beginning. Like, to get us to where we got now, it's kind of a disconnect, just a little bit of a disconnect. It's hard for me to look past what happened at the beginning and see where we're at now, and especially with Chad Gable, and then Bo Dallas getting attacked, from behind by the Creed brothers. I like the Creed brothers, but they're a mid-card team. Chad Gable's mid-card. And he's upper mid-card. He's been involved in some pretty big storylines. Like, he does a fantastic job, but Bo Dallas getting attacked by the Creed brothers? I don't know, man. I don't know. And that's who we're... I don't think necessarily they were coming after Chad Gable, but that's part of the story now. He comes out and calls them out, and I guess it's a good way for Chad Gable to get a new family, his own family. I guess if we're going family on family, it makes sense. But it just seems kind of mid-card. So, I like to give grades. Overall, I think the Wyatt Six, I'm giving it maybe a C+, B-. I think in the stuff they've done out in front of the crowd, I'm giving it probably a C-, C. But like I said, I'm really enjoying the backstage stuff, and I'm really hoping this works. So right now, I'm sitting at about a B-, C+, right in between, somewhere right in between there. As far as top factions go right now, it's like, man, whenever that week they debuted, they were number one. Instantly number one. But quickly they have fallen to number 3. If they're not careful, the Elite's kind of falling off in AEW a little bit from where that storyline first started. You could kind of compare it. Looked like, Elite were going to run roughshod do whatever they pleased. And I understand you got to have Tony Khan's going to come back at some point. He's going to have some more authority, but I just don't think they did enough with the elite to really kind of push their weight around. It just kind of went by the wayside, and it seems like they're pretty much just back to being a normal team. They try to get in a few things here and there to push their weight around, but not really. So that's not been extremely great. I'll put them at number 4. Number 3, I do got the Wyatt 6. Number 2, number 1, Judgment Day. Bloodline, I'm going with the Bloodline. It was Judgment Day there for a while. I really like what's going on with the Bloodline. I mean, ever since Jacob Fatu joined, it's been phenomenal. I think there's more layers to what's been going on with the Judgment Day, and Rhea Ripley coming back has been pretty darn solid, but it's tough. But right now, at this very moment in time, a couple weeks out from Summerslam, I'm going with the Bloodline in my best faction right now, and Judgment Day number 2. And I want to know what you guys think. Last week, we saw 2 pretty big things happen in women's wrestling. We saw Rhea Ripley return, and we saw Mariah May turn on Toni Storm. And I thought that was one of the best turns that I've seen in quite a while. And wow, the blood with the women, that was shocking, man. That was shocking. Only time I ever remember seeing women bleed is Becky Lynch getting her nose busted, and then Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker's Match of the Year candidate last year or the year before. Only other 2 times I remember, but nothing was as hardcore as this, and her taking the heel. She turned heel, I guess, right? Turned heel with the heel to the face of Toni Storm. So very well done. Incredibly executed. I thought I liked that more than I liked Rhea Ripley returning. I'm glad Mommy's back. I think it was overall executed pretty decently, but it seemed like they went on. I guess they were just out of time. They don't have the luxury like AEW does, I suppose, of getting the extra 5-10 minutes of going over. They will when they go to Netflix, but theoretically. But they don't have those extra minutes. It just seemed like Rhea Ripley coming back kind of all happened too quick. And it was just shocking. And I already knew that Rhea Ripley was coming back after what Damian Priest spoiled it for us when he told Dom, like, oh, don't worry, you'll find out later. He was going to tell him, and then he's like, no, let's let you find out for yourself. Well, you ruined it. You spoiled it. But, man, I can usually see these things coming from a mile away. When you can get me, that's pretty damn rare that I can be got. But I got on Mariah May turning on Toni Storm. I knew they wouldn't go into that match at all in just as friends. I knew we'd see a split at some point, but I really thought it would have been Toni Storm turning on Mariah May. But I loved what they did. I think it makes great sense what they did. If they would have had Toni Storm turn on her, they could have played it out like, oh no, darling, it's be fine. I know you'll lay down for me, and and I'm still the champion. Maybe you'll be champion in a year or 2, and and then actually, I guess you could have still had Mariah May say, no, I'm not doing that, and and say no, like, no, I want to fight you one-on-one, and then Toni Storm, you could still have Toni Storm, I guess, turn at that point, because whenever Mariah May says she's not going to lay down for her, like, that would have told a great story. But I think what they did got me instantly intrigued with what's going to happen at All In. It's like what I laid out would have been more of a slow burn to the turn. Slow burns to the turn can work very well at times, and then boom, shock out of nowhere can work very well at times too. I think this one worked. I think the follow-up on Dynamite this past week was great. As far as what Mariah May did, overall segment was average to good because the crowd just wasn't into it. I loved it. I liked it. I thought Mariah May did a great job delivering her lines, her promo was fantastic, but the crowd, it was like, I'm waiting for the crowd to like, why aren't you booing her? Like, is it because of does it go back to what I always say about faces and heels in AEW, and it's hard to define them, so we don't really know if Toni Storm was a face or a heel? Like, some people loved her, some people don't love her. And so because we have that, Mariah May's turn now, it's like, well, do we boo Mariah? Well, there's a good portion of the fans that maybe didn't like Toni Storm, maybe tired of her gimmick. I love it. I think it still works. I talk to people that think that they're over it and they're done with it and they don't like it. Now, that's fine. I get that. But if they would have presented Toni Storm as a true baby face, I think it would have helped Mariah May get a lot more boos than she did. The crowd was just kind of ho-hum. That shocked me. That shocked me after such a great segment. I was surprised that the crowd at least wasn't, either they're cheering or booing or do something. Like, you're just sitting on their hands being quiet. It took for her to get almost halfway, if not 3/4 of the way through her promo, for them to finally get a "We Want Toni" chant going on. And it wasn't very prolonged. Good job by Mariah May on letting it play out, but it wasn't very prolonged. I think the crowd being a little bit down kind of hurt their segment, even though I was into it, thought it was very good, still very much looking forward to their match at All In. We'll do a full All In preview when we get a little bit closer. Same with SummerSlam, but I mean, that match, Britt Baker, Mercedes Moné, I'm really, really excited about those two matches, probably more so than Swerve and Bryan Danielson. I don't know, call me crazy, but I don't know. I would have liked to seen Hangman win. I know they've already fought like 3 or 4 times, and their rivalry was pretty much done. But I thought maybe we were going to see a Swerve Hangman 3, 4. What would it have been? I don't know, but I get it. I get it if you think that rivalry was over, and it's like, all right, Bryan Danielson, last full year of wrestling, maybe he wins the damn title. It's quite possible, because I don't think Swerve's run has been really all that good. It's been okay. I mean, that was a hell of a match. Hell of a match with him and Will. It was with Will, right? Yeah, at the last pay-per-view. Hell of a match with them guys. But, I mean, if you go back to the first week, after he won the title, you could argue that his title reign started off bad. And it hasn't been that great since, just because he wasn't the first person we saw after he won the title. That wasn't Forbidden Door. It was a pay-per-view I was at, Dynasty in St. Louis. He wins it there, and then, where are you at, man? Where are you at? We don't get a promo out of him until Collision. Instead, we get a match against the mid-carder. Doesn't even say anything. Like, bad, lazy, terrible, awful, bad booking. And I don't think his title reign has been booked that great. I like him, but I don't like him probably as much as I should. He should be clearly in the top 10 and staying in the top 10. He's the AEW champion, but he borderlines 10, 15 sometimes, depending on what he's doing that week. Full rankings, thetopropepodcast.com, by the way, released every Tuesday. But I don't think his title reign has been all that great. I was sidetracked in my thoughts a minute ago because I was thinking about the International Championship that we saw on Dynamite. MJF and Will Ospreay. MJF, your new International Champion. I don't think it was supposed to happen. I think this was supposed to be a 60-minute time limit draw, and there's 3 reasons why. You see, when the ref goes from that 2 count to that 3 count, he's very, very slow with it. He's looking at the video board, and I'm thinking in his head, he's like, oh, crap. It says 3-4 seconds left on the video, and I'm at the 2 count. Oh no, gotta finish my count. Maybe he could have maybe in the split second told for Will Ospreay to kick out. Maybe that would be the only argument that I have in my mind, that maybe it was supposed to end that way, because because he could have been telling Will Ospreay to kick out to make up for it, and then there'd be a draw. But just the way he was going so slow told me that he thought that they were going to run out of time before he got that 3rd count down. Second reason why they don't hit MJF's music right away. And the third reason why, Justin Roberts doesn't announce MJF as a winner right away. He appeared to be confused, just appeared to announcers seemed a little bit confused. Like, oh, crap. And I help run a local professional wrestling organization in my area, and these things happen, and it's you can tell. Like, I can tell whenever, I know if something goes wrong, then I'm watching it back on the video as I'm editing it. It's like, okay, something went a little bit wrong there. And I can tell, because I'm behind the scenes, maybe everybody else couldn't tell, but I could tell that something went wrong. So whenever I'm watching that, I can just tell by the way people were reacting that it just didn't seem to me. At least that's my opinion. It's what I saw. Could have very well been the finish, but it didn't look like it. Didn't look like it. That's all I'm going to say. They'll ride around it. They'll work around it. We have to do the same thing sometimes. It happens. It's professional wrestling. It happens. Things are going to happen that aren't supposed to happen, and you got to be able to roll with the punches, baby. But that match was a hell of a match overall. Extremely great match. The only other problem was the reffing, and it's always a problem in AEW. The refs, wrestlers do whatever they want. They bury the refs, man. And the refs, a lot of times, don't do themselves any favors. Like, you go fight out in the crowd. Granted, the little girl punching MJF was pretty damn funny. I don't know how you really want to get... I guess, okay, she was so young, but I don't know how... okay, if you get somebody else out in the crowd, what if the kid comes up and punches him now? Maybe crossed the line there, but I thought that was hilarious. But at the same time, it's like, ref chases him out there. We're not doing the 10 count. Announcers try to make up for it by saying, the referee, Bryce Remsburg, or whoever it was, I think that's who it was, giving him leeway here, wants to see a winner. Like, that's fine. Try to protect him all you want, but it tarnishes the championship. It doesn't look good, man. It doesn't look good. You can fight around ringside all you want, roll back in, break up the count. Because they didn't count then, but then they are at ringside later on, and then you're counting. It just didn't make any damn sense. A lot of time it doesn't, but I'll get off that. Because I thought it was a phenomenal match. If it wouldn't have had those two problems that I saw, I would probably put it up there as match of the year candidate. But because it did, I can't. But it was a very, very excellent match. To me so far, what do you guys think match of the year so far? I don't know, my brain's a pretty pea brain. Sometimes it's hard to think, but it's easy for me on this one because I was there, and it was that Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson match at Dynasty in St. Louis. I know I was there, but I went back and watched it on TV, and that crowd was just, man. It sounded as loud as it was on TV, just like whenever I was there. To me, that's match of the year so far. What else? What else do we want to get into here before we wrap this baby up? Don't forget to hit like, follow, subscribe, all that good jazz here on the Top Rope Podcast. One more thing before we go. Do you think that we are going to see a triple threat? Damian Priest, Seth Rollins, CM Punk at SummerSlam, or is it just going to be Damian Priest and Damian Priest? Drew McIntyre. Hello, Gary. Dummy. Yeah. Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins? Or is it just going to be Drew McIntyre and CM Punk? Because Seth Rollins was involved in this storyline right from the get-go. He came out Monday Night Raw. Him and Punk went face-to-face. Didn't forgive him for what he did in the past. A lot of realism. Same with Drew and CM Punk. And Seth Rollins got cost. Seth Rollins, it cost him. Cost him too. He's collateral damage out of all this. I think they could very easily go to three-way. Maybe they push that back where we don't see the three-way and then we see Seth and CM Punk later on. I don't know. I wouldn't mind the three-way. I'm interested to see what you guys think in the comments. Yeah, man, that's about all that comes to my mind. I just wanted to get on here, do a episode of the Top Rope Podcast just straight off the top. Whatever came to my mind. And that's what did today. And I thank you for joining me. Like, follow, subscribe. God bless.